Welcome to the Elder Darkness. On this journey, we step beneath the earliest stars of Arda, long before the rise of men, before the shaping of the sun or moon, when the world was lit only by starlight and mystery. You might find yourself somewhere in the story, maybe not among the elves, but in that first breath of wonder when the world felt brand new. If you enjoy wandering the ancient paths of Middle-earth, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're listening from tonight. Now, lie back and relax as we travel to the world of Middle-earth. Starlight at Cuiviénen. The first elves awaken under the shimmering stars beside the waters of Cuiviénen, discovering sight, sound, and the first echoes of language as they begin to understand their place in Arda. It begins at Cuiviénen, the water of awakening, on the eastern shores of a still young Middle-earth. The stars are alive above it, blazing in constellations crafted by Varda herself. Their light ripples across the dark surface of the inland sea, and upon its silver shore, the first children of Ilúvatar open their eyes. No fanfare greets them, no trumpets of Valinor. Only the whisper of water, the hum of wind through new-grown reeds, and the beating of hearts that do not yet know fear. They rise, tall, slender, luminous in spirit though clothed in mortal form. The first to stir are three pairs, who will one day lead their kindreds. Imin and Imini, Tada and Tadi, Enel and Eneli. Names simple as new language, drawn from sounds that seem to rise naturally from the world itself. They gaze at each other in wonder, for they are the first to see another face that mirrors their own. Days, or perhaps centuries, time means little yet, pass in quiet discovery. The elves learn the sound of running water, the taste of fruit, the soft pulse of grass beneath bare feet. They invent words for all they touch, and laughter comes easily, bubbling like the streams that feed Cuiviénen. Some wander under the constellations and wonder if the lights above are living things. One, perhaps, points at Menelmacar, the hunter of the heavens, who will later be known as Orion, and wonders whether he hunts them or protects them. Middle-earth historians still debate whether that constellation's placement was a warning or a promise. The elves begin to gather in groups, drawn by shared voices and songs. They find that their hearts move together, and so tribes form almost unconsciously, the first seeds of difference, though none yet dream of discord. They build small shelters of woven reeds, decorate their hair with leaves, and watch the slow drift of stars reflected in Cuiviénen's waters. It is here they first dance, for motion itself is joy, and music needs no instrument when the world hums around you. And as they live, they name. The world grows richer through their speech. The forest becomes Tor, the stars become Eleanor, and they themselves, they call Quendi, those who speak with voices. That name becomes their pride, and perhaps their defiance, though they do not yet know against whom. Every discovery feels sacred. They learn to hunt deer and fish the lake, though always with reverence. Some claim to hear whispers from the trees, faint and kind, as though Arda itself answers their curiosity. Others claim to see lights moving under the water, and songs echoing in dreams. Were those light spirits, or the reflection of Varda's stars? The truth is lost, and even the wise in later ages can only guess. Among the Cuiviénir, friendship deepens into love, and love brings children, the first generations born beneath the stars. Life multiplies, spreading around the dark inland sea like soft fire. For a time all is peace, all is song. But even then, the first shadows stir beyond the hills. The Vala, who shaped the world under the command of Ilúvatar, do not yet walk openly in Middle-earth. Their great labors have left the lands scarred and half-wild. Mountains still smoke, rivers still shift their beds, and forests rise and fall in restless cycles. The elves live unaware that they are watched, for Melkor, the mightiest of the Vala turned rebel, has not been idle. His spies roam the eastern world, drawn by the strange new light of these beings who speak and sing. The legends say that Melkor himself first discovered the elves, and that he sent dark riders and shadowy spirits to observe them. These servants moved unseen, learning their habits, their fears, their songs. Perhaps one night, as the elves danced by the lake, a shape watched from the treeline, silent, motionless, and far too tall. Some say the stars dimmed that night. Still, ignorance shields the Cuiviénen. They dream of nothing but life and light, though now and then one vanishes. A wanderer fails to return. A laugh goes unanswered. They whisper of creatures that come by night, whispers that the wind carries away before dawn. No one wishes to believe them. In later ages, when the Fellowship trudges through Lothlorien under starlight, Legolas will speak softly of those first nights. Our kindred first woke under starlight, and we have loved the stars ever since, he says, and in that quiet line, he recalls Cuiviénen, though few men listening could grasp what it means to awaken before the sun. The Quendi soon learn to look upward not in fear, but in reverence. The stars become their guides and their teachers. They track their movements, learning to read the sky as others might read a book. Their songs echo constellations, melodies that rise and fall with the light of Varda's jewels. Some even believe that by singing, they can draw the stars closer, and perhaps they do. There's an almost comical innocence in it. Imagine the most ancient and noble beings of Middle-earth, still arguing over whether a pebble feels pain when stepped on. Yet that tenderness is what makes them eternal. They are creatures of empathy as much as of wisdom, and it is that empathy that will one day divide them. For when the call of the West comes, not all will answer. For now, though, they remain by Cuiviénen, watching their reflections ripple with the light of Erendel's star, though that star is not yet born. Time folds here, as if the beginning already hints at the end. The lake's waters shimmer, and in their depths, one might almost imagine the reflection of a small hobbit holding a ring, gazing into an older darkness that began right here, beneath these stars. The shadows and the hunter. The joy of new life darkens as rumors of a dark figure stalking the night spread among the elves, leading to fear, division, and the first whispers of the Dark Lord's malice. Night falls again over Cuiviénen, though it has never truly been day. The stars glitter without end, and the air is cool and damp, carrying the scent of moss and the breath of deep water. The elves continue their lives in a tranquil rhythm, hunting, singing, crafting simple things, but an unease begins to grow at the edges of their world. It starts as a story told by the fireside. Someone claims to have seen movement beyond the trees, a shadow taller than any elf, gliding soundlessly through the forest. Others laugh until another disappears, and then another. The laughter dies quickly. They call the unseen stalker Moringato the dark enemy, though none yet know his true name, Melkor. He has watched them for years, perhaps centuries, studying Ilúvatar's new children with fascination and resentment. To him, their innocence is an affront, a light that must be snuffed out. His servants, the first monsters to walk Arda, slip among the shadows. Some drag elves away into the night, never to be seen again. Others leave behind only prints that sink deep into the soil, as if the very ground recoils. Middle-earth historians still debate whether those taken were truly twisted into the first orcs or if that grim tale was a later attempt to explain their horror. Either way, the legend leaves a scar. Fear enters the hearts of the Quendi for the first time, and something ancient and fragile breaks. The Eldar remember it in song, how the laughter around the waters of Cuiviénen began to fade, replaced by watchfulness. No longer did they dance freely under the stars. They gathered in closer circles, keeping fires burning all through the long nights. The beauty of Cuiviénen remained, but it no longer felt like paradise. It felt like a refuge. And then came the hunter. Tales differ on what form this being took. Some say it was Melkor himself, armored in shadow and fire. Others claim it was one of his dread lieutenants, a spirit bound to flesh, massive, black-eyed, and silent. The elves named him Moru, the Dark Hunter. He prowled the edges of their camp, never entering the firelight, yet always there. The bravest among the Cuiviénen once tried to track him. They found only a trail of burned grass and bones turned to ash. One might expect the elves to flee, but they are stubborn even in their youth. Fear teaches them vigilance, and vigilance gives rise to order. The first watch is set. The first weapons are made, simple spears hardened in fire, more symbolic than effective. In a strange way, the presence of darkness forges identity. They begin to understand courage, loyalty, and the fragility of existence. It is in this age of twilight that Orome, the great huntsman of the Vala, discovers them. While riding through the forests of Middle-earth upon his horse Nahar, whose hooves blaze silver like moonlight, he hears voices singing in the distance. Elvish voices, soft, layered, harmonizing with the hum of the earth. Orome stops, listens, and knows instantly what they are. Imagine the scene. The elves, huddled near their fires, see a shape emerge from the woods, tall as a tree, haloed in light, his steed shining brighter than any star. They scream, scatter, thinking the Dark Hunter has come again. But Orome raises his hand, and the darkness around them bends away. His voice, deep, kind, and vast, calls out their name, the name given by Ilúvatar himself, Eldar, the people of the stars. The moment is almost comical when you picture it. These immortal, elegant beings hiding behind bushes and peeking out like startled deer while a literal god tries to explain, "No, no, I'm one of the good ones." Yet it is a turning point in the history of Arda. Orome stays among them for a time, teaching, speaking, learning their tongue. The elves, cautious but curious, begin to trust him. He tells them of Valinor, the land of light beyond the seas, where the Vala dwell and where darkness cannot reach. Many listen in wonder. For them, Cuiviénen is home, but they have always felt that the stars themselves are calling them to something higher, something brighter. Now that calling has a direction. Still, not all are convinced. Some whisper that Orome is only another guise of the hunter, sent to deceive them. Why should they follow anyone, even one who shines like starlight? They are the firstborn. Should they not remain in the land where they awakened? It is a debate that will ripple through all their kindreds for ages to come. In a quiet echo of later times, this same theme, trust or fear, will play again when Frodo hesitates to take the ring, when Boromir doubts the wisdom of Elrond, when even Gandalf wrestles with uncertainty. The history of the elves begins here, in that same fragile balance between hope and caution. Orome departs to tell the Vala what he has found, and for a while, the elves are left again in shadow. But this time, they know they are not alone in the world. They begin to speak of the West, not as rumor, but as promise. Songs change, words of longing slip into their language. Aman, the blessed realm. Valinor, the land of the powers. Some begin to dream of light beyond the dark horizon. And yet, Melkor is not finished. He senses Orom's coming and grows furious. The elves feel his wrath in the trembling of the earth and the strange storms that rise over the hills. Lightning splits the sky, and thunder shakes the water of Cuiviénen. Fear returns sharper than before. Some of the youngest among them cry that the hunter will take them all. Then one night, a light blazes in the sky, Varda, the queen of the stars, rekindling her jewels to bless the firstborn. The constellations flare brighter than ever before, and for the first time, the darkness truly retreats. The elves stand upon the shores and weep, for it feels as though the heavens themselves have spoken their name. Among those who gaze upward are the three first leaders, Ingvi, Finwi, and Elwi. Each feels something different in that moment. Ingvi, a yearning for purity. Finwi, a spark of ambition. Elwi, a strange sadness he cannot yet name. Those emotions will guide their destinies across ages, but here they are only glimmers in the starlight. When Orom returns, he bears an invitation from the Vala themselves, a summons to journey westward to the land of light, to dwell in peace and safety forever. The choice seems simple, but nothing in Middle-earth ever is. Even now, as the elves debate whether to leave Cuiviénen, Melkor's shadows linger. The hunter is gone, but fear has taken root in the hearts of many. Some whisper that to leave their birthplace is to betray it. Others fear that the Vala's offer is a trap. And so begins the first great division of the elves, one not of blood, but of will. Before long, 3 ambassadors will travel with Orom to see the blessed realm with their own eyes, and what they witness there will shape all of elvenkind. But for now, Cuiviénen lies quiet again. The stars shimmer above its surface, and beneath them, the elves stand poised at the edge of history, caught between shadow and starlight, between the safety of the known and the promise of the West. The call of the West. The Vala summon the elves toward Aman, and the great journey begins, filled with awe, doubt, and peril as the 3 clans of the Eldar take their first steps into history. The choice spreads through Cuiviénen like a tide. Orom has departed once more, leaving behind a promise. The Vala will welcome the elves into Aman, the land beyond the sea, where light reigns eternal and Melkor's shadow cannot reach. Yet among the elves, hearts pull in different directions. Some feel the yearning immediately. They gaze westward and sense something calling, a memory that predates their own birth, a voice woven into their very being. Others cling to the lakeshore, unwilling to leave the waters where they first saw the stars. Change, after all, is frightening even to immortals. Ingvi, Finwi, and Elwi, those 3 chieftains who journeyed with Orom to Valinor, return in wonder. They speak of the trees of light, Telperion and Laurelin, whose radiance fills the blessed realm with silver and gold. They tell of vast fields, of unshadowed skies, of peace so profound that no fear can dwell there. When they describe the music of the Vala, many who listen feel tears rise unbidden. The decision is made. The Vala's summons will be answered, at least by some. 3 great hosts of the Eldar prepare to depart. Ingvi leads the smallest and most devout, the Vanir, fair and pure-hearted. Finwi commands the largest and most restless, the Noldor, lovers of craft and knowledge, and Elwi guides the Teleri, the singers of the sea and keepers of soft sorrow. Together, they form the beginning of what the histories call the Great Journey. They do not march in military order. The elves travel as families, as wanderers, singing as they go. The stars guide their path, and Orom himself rides before them on Nahar, whose hooves light the dark plains of Middle-earth. Imagine that sight. A vast procession winding westward through forests and hills, their songs blending with the wind. The air is alive with awe, and for a time, even Melkor dares not approach. But the journey is long, unfathomably long. The distances of early Arda are vast and shifting. Mountains rise and crumble, rivers change course, and forests stretch for leagues. The elves, still young to the world, tire and falter. Some begin to doubt whether the Blessed Realm even exists. Middle-earth historians still debate whether the Valar truly understood what they were asking of these first wanderers, or whether this was a test disguised as mercy. The first to fall behind are the Avari, the unwilling. They choose to remain at Cuiviénen, saying, "Why leave the land of our awakening for a place we have not seen?" Their decision is both stubborn and sacred. They will fade from the tale, becoming shadows in the forests, ancestors of many later tribes who never saw the light of Aman. For those who continue, hardship and wonder intertwine. They pass through forests older than the moon, where trees whisper in languages even the elves cannot understand. They cross plains where the ground glows faintly blue at night, a remnant of the music that shaped the world. One might joke that the first elvish maps were mostly drawn by people saying, "Turn left at the glowing rock, then follow the creepy singing river." The Noldor, led by Finwë, are the most inquisitive. They take notes, carve symbols into stone, and begin to develop their first runes. These markings will later evolve into the Tengwar script that records the stories of the Silmarils and beyond. Finwë himself often walks apart, thinking deeply. His eyes already carry a spark of the fire that will one day blaze in his son Fëanor, a curiosity that both enlightens and dooms. Elves Teleri, by contrast, are dreamers. They move slowly, enchanted by every stream and glade. Some linger too long, building camps that become villages, then homes. When Orome urges them onward, they promise to catch up but never quite do. These are the roots of the first Sundering, the fracturing of one people into many. Along the way, the elves encounter other creatures for the first time. Great herds of aurochs thunder across the plains, and flocks of vast white birds rise from the coasts. Once, they even see a shadow in the sky, massive wings blotting out the stars. Later songs call it one of Melkor's early servants, perhaps the forebear of the great eagles, or something darker still. The debate persists, but the fear it inspired is certain. They press on. They cross rivers so wide they must build rafts of woven reeds, guided by Oromes light. They learn to craft bows and simple harps. They begin to mark time not by the stars, but by how far they've traveled since the last song was made. Language blossoms along the way, splitting subtly between each clan. Words drift, meanings change. Already, the unity of Cuiviénen is a memory. The great journey lasts centuries or heartbeats, depending on how one measures time before the sun. To the elves, who do not age, it is both an eternity and a single breath. They walk through all the moods of the world. Laughter under stars, weeping in storms, silence among the ruins of mountains. Sometimes they rest beside still waters, and their Orome tells them stories of Valinor. He speaks of the two trees whose mingled light turns the air gold and silver. The elves close their eyes and can almost see it. There is one tale, half legend, half footnote, that the chroniclers of Rivendell particularly love. During the journey, a group of young Noldor is said to have stumbled upon a cave filled with glowing crystals. They took them for signs from the Valar and carried them westward, believing they were gifts of guidance. In time, they became the first to study the secrets of stone and light, the beginnings of elvish craft that would culminate in the Silmarils. Whether that story is true or poetic invention, it speaks of their nature, ever curious, ever yearning. At last, they reach the great western lands, where the blue mountains Erd-Luin rise like a dark wall against the horizon. Beyond those peaks lies Beleriand, though it does not yet bear that name. The journey has claimed many. The weary, the doubters, those enchanted by rivers or forests who turned aside and never rejoined the host. Still, the three leaders press on, for Orome rides before them, and the promise of light draws near. Crossing the mountains is no small feat. Many falter at the sight of their sheer height. The Teleri, ever cautious, linger in the valleys. The Noldor, proud and inventive, devise ways to climb, and the Vanir, trusting most in Orome, follow his path without hesitation. Above them, strange lights shimmer. Some say they are the first hints of Amon's radiance reflecting on the clouds. Others claim they are illusions conjured by Melkor to sow confusion. The truth remains one of those delightful mysteries scholars love to argue about over too much wine. When at last they descend from the heights and see the western shores for the first time, a silence falls. Before them stretches the sea, vast, dark, endless. The elves have never seen an ocean. The sound of its waves is both terrifying and beautiful. The Teleri fall in love with it instantly, their songs mingling with the roar of the surf. Finwë Noldor look upon it as a challenge to be crossed. Ingwë Vanir see it as the final veil between them and destiny. And somewhere out upon those waters unseen, the Valar prepare to welcome, or perhaps test, the Firstborn of Ilúvatar. The Sundering and the Westward Shores. The long march brings both wonder and tragedy. Some elves reach the blessed realm, others turn aside, and the fate of Middle-earth is forever shaped by who chose to stay behind. The sea stands before them like a living thing, endless, murmuring, silver under starlight. Its voice is unlike anything the elves have ever heard. Vast and ancient, filled with both promise and warning. They stand upon the shores of Middle-earth, the air salted and strange, and for the first time in their long journey, the west feels real. Beyond that dark horizon lies Amon, the realm of the Valar, the source of all the light they have dreamed of since Cuiviénen. Yet between them and that paradise stretches something they have never crossed. The ocean. Orome tells them not to fear. The Valar will send help. And indeed, before long, a new wonder appears. Ulmo, Lord of Waters, rises from the deeps. The elves feel his presence before they see him. The tides swell, the wind hushes, and the stars ripple in the waves. Then he comes, immense and radiant, bearing an island like a ship. Upon it, forests sway and hills roll softly. Ulmo bids them climb aboard, promising to carry them safely to the Undying Lands. It is a sight both magnificent and terrifying. The sea heaves beneath the island's roots as Ulmo's voice rolls across the shore. Ingwe steps forward first, calm, unafraid, his eyes bright with longing. Behind him, the Vanir follow, singing softly. Then Finwë, ever bold, leads the Noldor aboard. Their hearts burn with curiosity, their minds already turning toward the crafts and knowledge of the Valar. But Elwë hesitates. His Teleri have grown enamored with the sea. Its rhythm, its music, the reflection of the stars upon its face. They linger on the shore, torn between love for the west and love for this newfound beauty. Why leave the song of the waves? Some ask. Are these waters not also part of Ilúvatar's creation? Orome urges them on, but the Teleri are slow to move. When the island begins to drift westward under Ulmo's command, many are still ashore. They watch as their kin vanish into the horizon, their songs fading into the distance. And thus begins the Sundering of the Elves, the first of many divisions that will shape the history of Middle-earth. Those who journey west and reach Aman are known as the Calaquendi, the Elves of the Light. Those who remain behind are the Morikendi, the Elves of Darkness, not evil, but unblessed by the tree's radiance. Across the sea, the Vanir and Noldor arrive in Valinor. Words cannot capture the splendor they behold. The two trees shining upon the green plains, the air alive with music, the mountains gleaming with light. The Vanir dwell closest to the Vala, serene and contemplative, while the Noldor grow restless in their love of craft and learning. Ingvi, Finwi, and their peoples become immortalized in the songs of the West, never again to dwell in Middle-earth. But the story of Elwi and the Teleri takes another turn. While guiding his people westward, Elwi becomes lost in the forests of Beleriand. There, beneath the moonless boughs, he meets Melian the Maya, a spirit of the Vala, beautiful and wise. Their eyes meet, and time itself seems to halt. The legends say they stood together in silence for years, bound in enchantment. When at last they move again, the world has changed around them. Elwi is no longer simply a leader of the Teleri. He is Thingol, grey-clad king of Doriath, and his people will follow him into legend. Those Teleri who continue the journey without him eventually reach the western shores again. There, Ulmo returns and bears them across at last, but their hearts remain divided. Some stay behind even now, settling along the coasts of Beleriand, building havens that will one day host the ships of Círdan the Shipwright. They become the Sindar and Falathrim, the Grey Elves and the Elves of the Falas, Middle-earth's first mariners, forever drawn to the call of the sea. Meanwhile, across the waters, the Calaquendi thrive. The Noldor learn great arts from Olu, crafting jewels that capture the mingled light of the trees. From this devotion will one day be born the Silmarils, and through them, both glory and ruin. If the Vala had known what seeds they sowed when they beckoned the elves westward, perhaps they would have hesitated. But as in all tales of Arda, light and shadow are bound together, each giving meaning to the other. Centuries later, when the Fellowship rests in Lothlorien, Galadriel, Finwi's granddaughter, will gaze across the waters of her mirror and whisper of the West. To the sea, she will say. The white gulls are crying. In her voice echoes this same longing, the memory of Cuiviénen, of the great journey, of the promise that still lures every elf toward the fading light of Aman. Even now, Middle-earth historians still debate whether the elves' choice to leave their birthplace was truly blessed or subtly tragic. Did they abandon the land meant for them, leaving men to inherit a broken world? Or did they preserve beauty in a realm where corruption could not reach? The question lingers, unresolved, like starlight trembling on the surface of Cuiviénen. And so ends the first great chapter of Arda, not with war or doom, but with departure. The elves who awoke beside still waters have crossed half the world in search of light, and in their going, they have written the first map of longing across Middle-earth. Their footsteps will echo in every age that follows. In the sea longing of Legolas, in the songs of Rivendell, in the sorrow of Galadriel's farewell. The world has changed, but the stars, the same stars that shone on Cuiviénen, still burn above it all. Now let the pace slow. The sea is calm again, its endless breath washing softly against forgotten shores. Imagine standing where it all began, beside the dark waters of Cuiviénen. The stars are bright, and their light moves upon the ripples like living silver. The voices of the first elves are gone now, faded into myth, but sometimes the wind over the lake carries a faint echo, laughter, song, and the hush of wonder. The journey west is long past. The Vala's lands shine still beyond the reach of mortal sight, and the elves who remain in Middle-earth walk beneath dimmer skies. Yet their memory endures, quiet and indestructible, woven into the stones and the sea. The same starlight that woke them still shines above every traveler who looks upward and wonders where the world began. In moments of silence, perhaps when the night is deepest and the air smells of rain, you might almost hear their footsteps, moving westward still, their songs threading through the ages. The first music of Arda never truly stops. It only drifts farther from our hearing. So let your mind rest in that light, not the blinding light of the trees, but the soft, patient glow of distant stars. The same stars that watched the elves awaken. The same stars that will one day see all things end and begin again. Sleep now beneath them. Let Cuiviénen's waters mirror your dreams. The world is wide, but the starlight never fades.